Robin van Persie, born in 1983, is a Dutch football coach and former professional footballer who played as a striker. Regarded as one of the best strikers of his generation, Van Persie was known for his excellent technique and ball control, intelligent positioning, and vision. He is the all-time top scorer for the Netherlands national team and may be the best striker in the Premier League of his generation. But where did it all start? Van Persie was born in Rotterdam to an artistic family. José Ras, his mother, is a painter and jewelry designer who also teaches special needs children. Bob, his father, is a sculptor. After Van Persie's parents divorced, he was brought up by his father. At school, Van Persie had severe problems with his behavior and was excluded from class almost daily. While growing up in Rotterdam, Van Persie was known as a juvenile troublemaker who loves nothing else but football. After Van Persie's parents divorced, he was brought up by his father. In fact, he was never the academic type. His teachers had always told him, "Robin, do your homework, it is important you have your diploma." However, young Robin listened to the other voices from his fans who said, "You're going to be like Johan Cruyff." But over to the football. Van Persie showed some real talent in him from an early age. Van Persie joined the youth squad of local side SBV Excelsior when he was 5, but left for Feyenoord at the age of 16 after falling out with the Excelsior coaching staff over his petulant attitude. An injury crisis at Feyenoord meant he was quickly promoted into the first team, and made his debut for the club at 17, the first of 15 total starts during the 2001-02 season. After starting for Feyenoord in the final of the UEFA Cup, Van Persie received the KNVB Best Young Talent Award. The following season, Van Persie signed a 3.5-year professional contract with Feyenoord and scored 5 goals in a 6-1 KNVB Cup thrashing of AGOVV Apeldoorn on 6 February 2003. However, clashes with his manager Bert van Marwijk saw Van Persie demoted to the reserve squad. During a match featuring the Feyenoord and Ajax reserves, he was one of several Feyenoord players assaulted by hooligans who had invaded the pitch. Van Persie's rift with Van Marwijk continued when he was sent home on the eve of the 2002 UEFA Super Cup final against Real Madrid after the coach was displeased with Van Persie's body language after being asked to warm up for a Champions League qualifier. Van Persie finished his tumultuous first full season with the first team having scored 8 goals in a total of 28 appearances, in addition to finishing runner-up in the KNVB Cup. Feyenoord unsuccessfully attempted to extend Van Persie's contract during the off-season, and his deteriorating relationship with Van Marwijk led to his spending most of the 2003-04 season on the bench. He again played 28 matches but finished with 2 fewer goals than the previous season. Feyenoord shopped him at the end of the campaign but found few takers due to Van Persie's past disciplinary issues. During the January transfer window, the Eredivisie club opened negotiations with Arsenal, who was seeking a long-term replacement for aging veteran Dennis Bergkamp, but both parties could not agree to terms. On 17 May 2004, Van Persie signed a 4-year deal with Arsenal for £2.75 million, just over half of Feyenoord's original asking price of £5 million. Arsenal manager Arsène Wenger, who planned to convert Van Persie from a left winger to a centre-forward as he had successfully done with star player Thierry Henry, said of his new acquisition, "He can play on the left side of midfield, as a creative player behind the main strikers or as a target man." Arsenal had further padded their stable of strikers in January by signing Spanish forward José Antonio Reyes, leaving the two to battle for playing time. Van Persie made his debut and won a trophy in the process, as he came on as a substitute in the 3-1 FA Community Shield victory over Manchester United on 8 August 2004. Van Persie spent most of his time on the bench during earlier parts of the 2004-05 season and marked his first competitive start on 27 October by scoring Arsenal's opening goal in a 2-1 League Cup win over Manchester City. The end of Van Persie's season was disrupted by injury, and he finished with 10 goals in 41 appearances in all competitions. As the following seasons went by, Van Persie didn't take any huge steps towards being a real global superstar. That wasn't before the 2010-2011 season when he bagged a good number of 18 goals and 2 assists in the Premier League for Arsenal. During this time Van Persie was a real force that he showed early on that he could be. But he didn't play a full season to show his quality until the 2011-2012 season. Having been appointed vice-captain for the 2010-11 season, Van Persie was promoted to club captain following the transfer of Cesc Fabregas to FC Barcelona at the start of the 2011-12 season. Due to his consistent performances and good goal-scoring form, Van Persie was named the Premier League Player of the Month for October 2011. His goal-scoring form took him to 35 goals for the year 2011, one short of Alan Shearer's Premier League record. He finished the season as the top goal-scorer in the Premier League with 30 goals and became Arsenal's 8th all-time top scorer with 132 goals. On the 4th of July 2012, Van Persie announced that he would not be signing a new contract with Arsenal. On the 15th of August 2012, Arsenal announced they had agreed terms with Manchester United for his transfer, but Van Persie had yet to agree personal terms with the club. On the 17th of August, Van Persie transferred to Manchester United for an initial £22.5 million, with an additional £1.5 million to follow if United won a Premier League or Champions League title within the next 4 years. He signed a 4-year contract, keeping him at the club until June 2016. Van Persie chose the number 20 shirt after assistant coach René Moulenstein convinced him that he would help secure Manchester United's 20th league title. For the 2013-2014 season, Van Persie kick-started his new campaign by scoring both of Manchester United's goals in their 2-0 win against Wigan Athletic in the Community Shield, securing David Moyes' first honour as club manager. After 2 injury-hit seasons followed, Van Persie fell out of favour at United and he was allowed to leave for Fenerbahce in July 2015. During his spell in Turkey, Van Persie featured regularly in his first season, but saw limitations in playing time in the following 2 campaigns after suffering with injuries, with both club and player agreeing to a buyout in January 2018, after which he rejoined Feyenoord on a free transfer. By the end of the season he had helped his boyhood team win the Dutch Cup, his first trophy since the 2013 FA Community Shield. Van Persie has over 100 caps and scored 50 goals for the Netherlands, and from 2013 to 2015 he was the team's captain. He has represented his country at the 2006, 2010 and 2014 FIFA World Cups, and the 2008 and 2012 UEFA European Championships. In October 2018 he announced he would retire from football at the end of the 2018-19 season. On the 12th of May 2019, Van Persie played his last professional match as a footballer in a 2-0 home defeat against ADO Den Haag. He nearly played the entire match before being replaced by Dylan Vente in the 93rd minute of extra time. In May 2020, a year after his retirement, Van Persie became an assistant coach to Dick Advocaat at his former club Feyenoord, where he would help train the club's strikers in an unofficial role. In May 2021, Feyenoord announced that Van Persie would officially join the club from the start of the 2021-22 season in a supporting role as a field coach, while also becoming the co-head coach at the club's under-16 team. In the debate of the best Premier League strikers of all time, will Van Persie always get named? But it is hard to say which strikers of the past were really the best. Both because of the teams each one played in and in the time period. Van Persie has never been part of a super-winning side which won everything. But his individual quality for many seasons in the Premier League will always be remembered, even though his career at the top didn't last too long like other legends. So I will finish it up and say that Van Persie had a fantastic career, one of the best strikers of all time at least. And we will wish him all the best in the world of coaching. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and click on the bell. And turn on the notifications.